In 2012, the residential sector accounted for 21% of total primary energy consumption and about 20% of carbon dioxide emissions in the United States. Sounds like residential housing is a big threat to our planet's well-being. However, there are ways to combat this issue.
Insulation is one of the most important considerations when retrofitting a home. You could spend all the money in the world to create a system that regulates temperature using self-created energy, but if the house is not properly insulated, this is all for nothing. Insulation is key to ensuring your desired air condition stays inside the home. Poor efficiency in insulation leads to skyrocketing energy bills and energy usage. Successful energy reduction starts by ensuring that the home has an efficient insulation system. There are now ways that we can insulate our homes that are less personally and environmentally harmful than former methods. Some examples include sheep's wool, flax and hemp, cellulose, and expanded clay aggregate. These materials help the home capture and maintain a greater amount of energy, reducing the need for the home's total energy consumption.
For the purpose of energy creation, we chose the addition of solar panels as the next step of a sustainable home. While solar panels are still expensive to implement, they are much cheaper than they used to be and are not unrealistic. The government also offers tax-deductive incentives if one installs a solar panel system, another future cost that can be offset by building a sustainable home. Put simply, a solar cell, or photovoltaic cell, converts the light of the sun into energy. Solar cells are the building blocks for a solar panel system. Several solar panels must be installed to create the energy necessary to power a small home. In consideration of our rooftop garden and rain collection trough, we are saying that about half of one's rooftop should be covered in the glass modules. Thought this would be needed to be targeted for the climate of a sustainable home. A typical panel will convert only around 12% of the sunlight it is exposed to. For every kilowatt that a house generates, one needs about 100 square feet of solar panels. The amount of kilowatts needed varies according to the amount that the home will need to store when there is little sunlight. For example, a system in Arizona needs far lesser kilowatts than a system in Seattle. Please note that these figures are taken on average, and figures can cost vary drastically across the United States and the globe. Solar panels are a big investment, but clearly a house that is looking to be a net zero needs to have a way to sustainably create its own energy. Right now, solar energy is the best method for this.
The third component to effectively retrofit your home is to install green roofs. These are gardens and ecosystems that are planted on the roofs of residential homes. Green roofs have many benefits for the environment. First off, they provide an aesthetic improvement. People who move to greener areas have higher mental health scores 3 years later. Roof gardens also are helpful when it comes to stormwater management. With green roofs, water is stored by the substrate and then taken up by the plants, from where it is returned to the atmosphere through evaporation. Even if the water happens to run off the green roof, it acts as a natural filter, and this filter runoff would be stored in the rainwater collection tank, which we will dive into later in the presentation. Green roofs can significantly reduce home heating and cooling costs. The light that is absorbed by the vegetation would otherwise be converted into heat energy. Therefore, green roofs help cool homes in the hot Bay Area summers. Air quality is dramatically increased with the implementation of green roofs. The plants on green roofs can capture airborne pollutants and atmospheric deposition. Green roofs can reduce demand on power plants and potentially decrease the amount of CO2 and other polluting byproducts being released into the air.
The final component of a basic retrofit sustainable home is a rainwater collection system. The size of these, similar to the solar panel system and roof garden, will change with the climate of the home. As it's not crucial to energy creation, it should occupy smaller space. However, its use are not being minimized. These collection troughs collect water from rain and store it for later use. These can be used to water our roof garden, but also can be later sanitized for our consumption in the kitchen and used in the bathroom. This provides the home with an independent water supply, something to heavily consider going into the future. Water use is likely to become increasingly regulated. To jump on board now with personal water collection is a good move. These can also be done relatively cheap. This when the house starts creating plumbing that is combined with the supply from the tank, that things will get expensive. For now, it would have to be a hybrid of public water, and each house is independent. But everything helps. After this system is installed, a homeowner would see their water bills fall drastically. In conclusion, there are definitely active steps that can be taken towards living sustainably. And as we mentioned, this does require one to build a house from scratch. By implementing our proposed solutions, an environmentally conscious homeowner can take drastic steps towards reducing their footprint.